even respond like that. I didn't really know what to do there. Titan is a coming 3-year-old gelding with a decent understanding of basic ground skills. I was brought in to help diagnose and solve issues he was having with the concept of mounting. I was told he wanted to panic and run in circles, even running into the fence when someone suggested stepping on. We worked on softness on the circle, and when I was happy with his responses, I climbed up on the fence. Without a thought, he went into immediate flight mode. This video begins as I step off the fence and I start schooling him. He offers the same behavior the second time I climb on the fence, to a lesser extent, which is shown later in the video. So he has no reason to respond like that. Like that's just ridiculous that he would offer that at all. I didn't even ask him to do anything. I just stood up there. And I'm glad I brought Sully, because I'll probably bring him into play here if he's gonna be like this. But that's very interesting. I thought for sure he would pull back once or twice and then settle a little, but yeah, that's different. You want to step out of the pen. So I'm giving him a direction to go all the time, because if I don't, he's gonna offer to go over the top of me. I don't want him to lope. That's not what I'm looking for here. When he goes the direction I'm not asking him for, I'm gonna bring him back the other way. Because if he's picking speed and direction, he's in charge here, you know? He can trot. That's all right. But I don't want him just to full-blown panic. So, he's a big horse. And I can understand how he can be intimidating. And I think he's found that if there's something he doesn't really want to do, if he plays the I'm big and scary card, there's a better chance that he won't have to do it, or at least not to the quality that you would want. But he just needs to find that that isn't really an option, that he gets his butt worked off when he wants to be a butt. See, he's like, you ask him to do something, he says, make me. And I say, no problem, bud. I want him to get soft and responsive here again, because he just was 5 minutes ago, and then he decided that he'd had enough. He said, no, we're done. I want him to travel forward there. You see how he's kind of side passing around me? See how he's settling there? So now that he wants to be a little more responsive, I don't care what he does. I just don't want him to go into full-blown I'm stupid mode. And if he wants to freak out a little bit, that's fine, but he doesn't need to act like he's gonna jump the fence if I'm up here. Like, really? I just want him to stand. That's it. He doesn't need to freak out. He can just stand there. Like, this is no big deal. There you go. I like that he's licking and chewing. But that is a very interesting response. I've never seen that before. But yeah, like what I just did the first time, I would just go to working the shit out of him if he's like that. And do not be gentle. Just get to his hip and be pretty aggressive on both sides. So I want to be able to do the funky chicken up here and have him not care. There's no reason why he should run around like that. Good. He's got his little personal hula hoop of space here that he's decided for himself. And you see when I ask him forward, he kind of wants to step back. But I want to be able to send him from the top of the fence, and that's why I messed with sending him on the ground first. Because if I don't have it on the ground, I'm definitely not going to have it up here. Because I can't move my body for his drive line up here. He just has to go off of my pressure on the rope. Good boy. But he can spend a boatload of time just hanging out like this. So the final step is he's right here with his left side to me, right? Yeah. We'll see if we can't suggest that today. Good. Yeah. Good. There you go. Oh yeah. That's crazy. I recorded some of that. If you don't mind, I can put it on YouTube and show you. Yeah. That was very interesting though. I've never had a horse respond that way. What did he do? I just climbed up on the fence and he decided that he didn't know how to handle that. Oh. So he wanted to run off, yeah, and then realized that he was stuck, yeah, and couldn't get away. So he did, like you said, wanted to chest up to the fence, just straight into flight mode. And then I got off the fence and worked him, kind of like what I'm doing here, but without the rope. I just went around and disengaged him on both sides and lunged him. And he acted like he couldn't even handle that, even though we did it 5 minutes prior. It was very interesting. But he's a big horse, and I can see where he can be intimidating. Right. And if he feels like he's had enough and pulls that card, I can see where it would be hard to want to keep going. Uh-huh. You just got to make sure that you never quit him right there, because that'll just turn him into an absolute monster. But he's a pretty decent amount of horse. So I'm kind of doing the same thing I was doing before, where I'm blocking his forward movement. Oop. And I'm just gonna keep messing with this rope. Yep. But I don't want him to face me or switch directions, because if he's facing me and something that he decides is scary happens, he's liable to go over the top of me with what he's offered so far. But all he has to do is stand and get soft. And I'm not hitting him with this, I'm just making it obnoxious.
And we're under no timeline with Caitlin to where we have to necessarily rush him if he's not ready to. So.
All right.
Which is good. I mean,
Yeah, no.
There's no 4-H guidelines or anything. It's just these are projects. So.
That makes it really hard when you're trying to rush something.
Yeah.
Because then you'll run into issues more often.
Yeah.
He's a nice horse. He's real smart. I think he just knows that he can get away with some crap more than anything. And he's a lot of horse for somebody that's starting.
Yeah. Do you think she bit off more than she could chew?
I don't think it's her fault. Like, it's just, you never really know what you're getting.
Well, quite honestly, do you think I can properly train him without screwing him up?
I don't think you're going to screw him up. If you do have a problem arise, if you had somebody look at him or mess with him, just like what you're doing here is perfect.
Okay.
Because if you find a spot where you don't really know where to go forward, like YouTube isn't going to help answer you very much.
No.
You need one-on-one with someone.
Right. Right.
So.
Which is why we have you.
Yeah. No, this is good. This is good because this is a very interesting problem. And it's the whole climbing up on the fence and him being real worried is new for me. Like, the worst I've had him do is maybe try to get away from me, maybe brace up and pull back a little bit, but never what he offered. No, that was good. There, see, he kind of swished his tail there. Good. And if he just wants to stand there a little bit, that's fine. I like that he wanted to chew.
Is it the concept that he can't get his head higher than you? Is that part of it?
Maybe. Yeah, it's just having something up above him.
Right.
Because it's not natural. Like, it's a predatory thing for us to be above him like that. And he was like, he had the correct response from a horse's perspective. Holy crap, I need to get out of here.
Yeah.
But it was...
And I wonder if that's why he reacts when he does, when she's fully in the saddle.
Yeah, very likely. And that's part of why I brought Sully. Because I'll probably work him off of Sully a little bit too.
Okay.
To be able to pony him off of another horse, it's such an asset.
Yeah.
Because not only they have the comfort of the other horse there for them, but you're above them.
Right.
And you have pretty decent control because you have another horse under you. But it's good for them to see, good for them to understand that that concept even exists. Oh man.
He's like, I'm freaking out.
The concern is unreal. Thank you. Sounds good. So, I'm going to treat this just like I'm on the ground, where I'm always moving. So my horse's feet are always going. And in turn, he always has somewhere to go. I'm looking for him to disengage here. And Sully doesn't give a shit, because he's played this game. He kind of knows what we're looking for here. And your guy is really light and he's real responsive. There. So you can mess with a lot of things here. It's kind of hard to keep all your poop in a group when you first start messing around with this, and it still gives me a little trouble too because I don't do it enough. But you see, I was just looking for hinds, now I'm looking for fronts. And with a lot of horses, their head will be up in your lap when you're looking for fronts like this, asking them to come across themselves. But he isn't comfortable enough with me yet. He's like, you gotta take me on a date first. So he's gonna be a little bit further away, and that's fine. I'm just looking for the maneuver there. And he can kind of follow us here too. And we can feign ponying. And I have him on the inside of the circle, which makes it easy for him. I'm basically catering to him a little bit because this is new. On a horse that would know how to pony, I'd put them on the outside so they would have to travel further than my saddle horse. So he's pretty decent there. Go ahead and mess with the other side, which is where I have trouble because I have to ride with my offhand, or my dominant hand, I guess. I'm used to riding with my offhand. So we'll do the same thing. I'll look for hinds first, and if he wants to be real sensitive about it, that's fine. I like where Sully is here because he just putting pressure on him. And he's not wanting to act steady or anything like that, which is handy because sometimes you'll get him like that. He's still wanting to kind of move his front end a little bit. Same thing he was doing when I was on the ground. But he found out in a hurry that this isn't a social call. Like, Sully's not here to sniff him, and he's not here to sniff Sully. He wants to get kind of weird about it. You see that head that look he's given, that expression, where he kind of cocks his head like, I might kick you. See that look? I'm gonna get after that look. He's looking at Sully like Sully's another stud that's gonna bite his hocks and challenge him. You ever seen wild horses fight? That's not really the response that I'm looking for here. I just want him to move his feet. Because if he sulls up and gets defensive like that, then he's full of brace. See how if I go to step into doing his fronts, I can't because he's not good enough yet with his hinds. We're gonna till up your round pen while we're at it. So, see how he's kind of tripping on himself behind? He's not solid enough there yet. He's wanting to back up instead of disengage. I think it's funny that backing up is easier for him than disengaging because usually it's the other way. Yeah, he's a character. He's got some things that are really interesting. And it's not bad, like none of it's bad. It's just different. And you'll find that with every horse you start. They always have little different inconsistencies, just like people. See how my feet have never stopped moving? Much to Sully's disgust. So I'm not looking for him to back up here. I want him to disengage and then come in like that. That was close. So because of that, we're gonna stop. But I want him to swing his butt away and then come right across with his fronts. To roll his hind around, and then when he's done there, step his fronts through. That was kind of close, but he was a little sloppy with his fronts there. And he doesn't really know what I'm looking for here because this has never happened. which is totally fine. I just don't want him to act like a buffoon. But see, he just wants to go straight back into backing up. So I'm going to ask him to come wide, step his hinds, and then step fronts. And he's going to go back into backing up. There, so I sped up Sully to where it was just unrealistic for him to be able to back up. There. Ooh. But I can do all sorts of things from right here. I can mess with throwing the rope over him, which just blow his mind absolutely. But I'm just looking for the exact same thing that I was looking for before. The bag would benefit this horse quite a bit. On my YouTube, have you been on my YouTube?
Not for a while.
I have a YouTube.
Yeah.
And
I thought you were working on
cedar.
cedar.
Oh,
On a timber.
Crim. That was Crim. Yeah. So on there, I have a couple videos of working colts with the bag, and he needs a lot more prep before you get there. But that would be a good exercise for him once he is ready for it. It can be a lot for a horse. It's too much for him right now. But good to look at. Another tool for your toolbox. And if you need to, like once this guy gets to that point, your Palomino guy seems pretty gentle about things. It maybe wouldn't be a bad thing to practice on him. Or if I bring a horse over, you can practice on one of mine that knows what they're doing, and you can figure out how to have your hands, because it's kind of a lot of things to keep track of at once before you take on one that wants to be kind of a about it. There. See, he's a little more willing to step fronts there instead of just back up right from the start.